Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is a fun mobile game, but it isn't perfect by any means. The game has definitely gotten better, though, in a lot of areas in the few short years since its first release. The developers have added many features to make the game more enjoyable and more streamlined. However, with more features comes more problems. So today I want to talk about a few improvements Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes can make in 2019 in order to make the game an even more enjoyable experience. So these improvements are my top 5 improvements I think would make the game a lot better this year. Just keep in mind that they are my sole opinion. They are not anything that is coming to the game. It's just what I think would make the game better in my eyes. The first improvement I'd like to see in 2019 is a level cap increase. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's pretty self-explanatory and doesn't really need much explaining. We've been stuck at level 85 for over a year now, so it's probably about time that they could at least bump us to maybe 90. It wouldn't really do too much in like PvP areas of the game, but it would definitely help out in a lot of PvE areas where maybe some people are struggling because they can't get the gear they need, and maybe just a little boost in power by level up would help close that gap. Next up is something that's probably on a lot of people's lists, which is more love for ships. So one of my favorite things about Star Wars in general is just the space battles and all the starships. So you can imagine my excitement when there were rumors flying around that we were going to get ships in the game. You can also imagine my disappointment with how it was handled and how it's been neglected. To really make things interesting, I think the devs just need to add a little bit more synergy between some of the ships, and of course also add more ships. I think they're kind of on the right track with how they've been handling some of the newer bounty hunter ships, but I'm not going to get my hopes up until we have something a little more fleshed out. Next up is something very near and dear to my heart, and that's more prequel trilogy content. So right now there are currently 168 characters and 39 ships, including capital ships in the game. 53 characters and 13 ships are from the prequel era. For context, there are 36 Rebel characters and 18 Empire characters. That's a total of 54 characters just from those two factions from the original trilogy alone. And I'll be honest, I'm biased when it comes to the prequels because that's the Star Wars I grew up with. But the lack of decent and important representation from this era of Star Wars is very disappointing. We're missing very, very big key players in the Star Wars canon from these eras, like Padme. The Gungans were very important in Episode 1, as much as a lot of people hate them. And we're also missing big-name Jedi Masters like Ki-Adi-Mundi and Shaak-Ti. And I'm not just asking for more characters. There are a lot of other events that we could use for maybe a heroic journey later on, a legendary event, or even raids as well. The second biggest improvement that I think needs to come to the game this year is the addition of new characters to the Arena, Galactic War, and Cantina stores. The game's been out for a little over 3 years, and one thing that hasn't changed much is the contents of these stores. All 3 of these stores are in need of some serious attention. The last characters that were added to them were the Phoenix Squadron and characters from Rogue One, and also a few blueprints when ships were released. So just let that sink in for a moment. The devs have actually gone on record saying that they don't plan to add anything else to these stores, but as the nodes in the game become occupied, I feel that that strategy is going to have to be reevaluated at some point. Another thing to consider is that a lot of the characters in these stores have become so outdated and power crept that a lot of veteran players actually recommend to replace these characters eventually when it comes to building squads and teams for certain things. And the biggest improvement I think needs to be made this year, it kind of goes hand in hand with each other, but it's either creating a way to purchase Bronzium packs in bulk or some other way to spend ally points. I currently have over 200,000 ally points, and I'm fairly certain many of you have that much, if not more. If I wanted to spend all those points, it would probably take me close to an hour or more of tapping the same spot on the screen. Now, I'm not asking for the ability to spend them all at once. I would just like to be able to spend more than 250 points at a time. So if they just gave us an option, maybe purchase 10 Bronzium packs at once and then pull them all at the same time, that would work. And if that's too much to code into the game, then just give us more places to be able to spend our ally points. Currently in the game, there's only one other place you can spend the ally points, and that's one singular item in the weekly store that we get that refreshes every Friday for me. So something else the devs could offer could possibly be like a silver or gold pack, which has a higher chance of dropping better gear. Maybe there's just better loot in those packs altogether, and they might come at a higher price, and maybe they could have better character shards or more character shards in them. We got a lot of really awesome content in 2018, and we even got a lot of really requested updates like mod management and even Ships 2.0. This just tells us that Capital Games is willing to change things up to make sure that the game is very enjoyable and also successful for years to come. And I hope that we have another great year ahead of us in 2019 in this Galaxy of Heroes. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, why don't you go ahead and check out some of the other videos I have on my channel. If you like those, maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss anything new. Also, make sure you check the description down below for the links to some of my other social media stuff. And if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know down in the comments. So thank you guys for sticking around, and I hope to see you next time. Peace out.